Welcome to the Play Ed 3 podcast, where you're the reoccurring guest, whether you're in the classroom or shaping education behind the scenes. I'm Tisha Poncio.
And I'm Rick Butterworth. Together, we bring stories, insights, and conversations that matter to educators, learners, and change makers. Our goal is to bring everyone together to learn, grow, and play.
Hey, Rick.
Hey. Having a cup of tea there, are we?
Mm-hmm.
Now, is it a cup of tea or is it something else?
I already had my cup of tea, so it's something else. Why are you're setting me up? People who are listening, first of all, we have to tell everybody, if you're listening right now, you probably want to listen to us on 2 times speed, because sometimes we
ramble.
Sometimes we do. And it's just like I feel like we have to have like a warning label on our podcast, because you are listening to 2 neurodivergent leaders, speakers, learners. And it's just how our brains work. These episodes, we have a very loose topic of what we're going to talk about. And then sometimes we go in other directions. We have to pull each other back.
Yeah, we always deviate every single time.
Yeah.
I feel like it's a very common pattern with us, even when we're actually presenting to people face to face. Don't pull that face. You know it's true.
So I know that's why I, quote unquote, pulled a face or made a face. Depending on if you are listening from the UK or America, you may or may not use one of those phrases. Can you hear me okay, Rick?
Yeah, I can hear you loud and clear.
Do I sound great, or does this sound better?
Jeez. Just scare all our listeners when you move it.
Was that too much?
It was a bit too much.
So where
and
I had
also
it
moving your camera. You were absolutely fine where it was. You have no issues.
I'm really sorry for the noise issues.
That is her moving her microphone.
I'm sorry. So sorry. I did have it set. Is this okay? Does this sound okay?
It's absolutely fine.
Okay. So I don't have tea in my cup, but I feel like you were setting me up for making people think that I have a problem, and I don't. What is in my cup? What do you think is in my cup?
Well, I know what's in your cup, so if we ask people to comment what's in Tisha's teacup right now,
I'm
we
sure
might get a plethora of answers.
They would come up with some really creative answers.
I think the best one is, what do you think's in Tisha's cup? Wrong answers only.
That's a great idea. Comment what's in my cup. Wrong answers only. The truth of the matter is, we were planning our episodes. We were doing some behind the scenes work, and I already drank my tea. My tea was actually, interestingly enough, called Sunshine, which I know doesn't surprise Rick, but it had turmeric and ginger and peppermint. It was actually really, really good. I got it as a gift. And then by the time we hit record, I was out of tea. So
you could have gone and made yourself another cup of tea, though.
Well, but I wanted
Instead,
to go.
You drove all the way to Sonic to then buy a Dr. Pepper.
Sonic isn't sponsoring us. They're not paying me to say this. But I have to go to Sonic sometimes when I just need a little boost. A little small Dr. Pepper right here. So that's what's in my cup. Thank you for outing me.
You're very welcome. Well, you were there drinking your cup of tea right at the start of this video. I'm going to bring it up.
We've talked about my teacup before. It is from England. And I love it. It's very cute. So what else? What is on our agenda today, Rick?
Well, the episode's called How Many Tea Bags Are the Right Cup of Tea? And since you've not got tea in your cup of tea, we've hit a bit of a dilemma already, and
There's
we
no
are
dilemma.
only 4 minutes into this episode.
There's no dilemma, actually, because while you were here, you came here to my home, and we made tea together, and you taught me how to make a correct cup of tea. A correct cuppa, which is what you say in the UK.
A correct brew.
A correct brew, but you don't even drink tea, so I find that really interesting.
Well, I used to drink tea. I'm now become a coffee addict, so I prefer coffee over tea.
Yeah.
But what surprised me, you've got a little teapot.
I love it. Guess where it's from? I found it at a garage sale. But how would you say that?
Garage sale.
Yeah. So I just happened to be driving down the street and I saw all of these pretty things outside and I was like, I should stop. So I pulled over and I started inspecting all the pretty things and I found this really beautiful, cute teapot and it's also from England and it was only $1. I don't know what these people are doing. They're just like giving their things away. And I also found a little sugar bowl. It's not an exact match, but it's also very beautiful. So I started making tea I have a kettle since I started working at Wakelet, actually, which I find interesting.
Convince you to get a kettle.
In America, we do not typically have a kettle in our homes. That's not something that is typical. And
which I find weird.
I guess some people do, because I did have a kettle. I remember having a kettle, but it's the electric kettle that I learned about when I came to the Wakelet office, and it was in my hotel room all the time, and it was everywhere I went. And then I got back and I went, wait, I need a kettle. So I used to use, I think we've said this on an episode, I used to use the coffee maker in hotel rooms to make hot water. That's not ideal, but I was just like, what else was I supposed to do? So I bought a kettle and I was making my tea individually. So 1 bag of tea in a cup.
Which is a usual situation.
Well,
for
this
most
is where
people
we're
making
at.
tea.
So then I got my cute teapot and I made enough hot water to fill up the teapot, which is about 3 of these cute little cups.
Oh no, it's definitely about 4 easily.
Okay, well, depending on how much water you're boiling, which was
you said you filled it up. You filled it all the way to the top. Is the way I'm envisaging what you just described.
The teapot?
Yes.
Yes.
And the size of the cup you've got is tiny. So for all the people that are listening and not watching, it is a tiny cup. So easily 4 cups of tea would be
for my teapot. Okay, so because of that, that's 4 cups of tea. I'm like, okay, if one bag is for 1 cup of tea, typically, now that I have this cute teapot, I should put 2 bags in the teapot because there's
happy you said 2 and not 4.
There's double the water.
Well, so not technically no. If we work on the basis that you use 1 tea bag per cup, and then you have a teapot that can fill 4 cups, wouldn't that mean 4 tea bags?
I'm not trying to be mathematical here, which I know you love to joke with me about.
We're going to do Tisha math. Okay.
Okay. So I just thought if 1 tea bag is good for 1 cup of tea, 2 bags should make it even better.
It will certainly make it stronger.
That's what I wanted. But then you came here and you were like, let me do this the right way, which I let you do. But then I discovered after we had tea, I discovered that you had only used 1 bag.
And you'd noticed that there was no change? Because you didn't comment on it.
There was no change.
Because what was ended up happening was basically, for those that do drink tea, Tish was just placing the tea bag in the pot, filling it with water, and then pretty much instantly then pouring it into a cup.
That was not happening. I was waiting 4 minutes for it to brew. 4.
No, you started actually waiting when I told you to start waiting.
Okay, fine.
You originally were putting it in and then maybe giving it a bit of a stir and then pouring it straight out.
I was ready for it.
You were straight away just like wanting to, right, I'm ready for my cup of tea. I've only just put the tea bag in, but let me just go and start pouring it out. So now
that's true.
You wait 3 to 4 minutes to actually let it brew, and then you end up enjoying it. And it's far better, right?
Yes, depending on how much sugar we're using.
I mean, some people like more sugar than others. That's understandable. But we'll agree you only need 1 tea bag in your pot.
Yes. It's hard for me to say that, but yes, we agree. I only need 1.
And it means then that your box of tea bags is lasting twice as long.
What's the best tea?
Oh, PG tips.
Okay, I have to shout out my friend. Oh my gosh. Now suddenly I went blank. Have you ever done that? You want to shout someone out and then you just completely go blank.
Every time you ask me a question, I go blank. So yes, all
Oh,
the
sorry, I
time.
have to have my snack. Okay. Why am I Julie. There it is. It came to me. Julie.
Hold on. The person that we've been talking about in every single
Stop.
episode, and you just blanked on it.
Julie Meyer from no,
Okay, but well, at least the name.
She brought me tea back.
Okay.
And it's amazing. She went to oh my gosh, now I'm gonna forget where she went to. She went across the world to somewhere very cool. And she brought me tea
England?
from that. No. I think she went to Japan. Just
Oh, okay.
this is just me guessing. I think that's where I think she was in Japan for a bit and she brought me some tea.
She went to somewhere in the world that wasn't America.
Stop. Yes, and it wasn't in England. But she brought me back this tea and it was fabulous. It was so good. So shout out to Julie for sharing her tea with me. I don't remember what else was on our agenda, Rick. Good thing people are listening at 2 times the speed. I have a lot of things up.
Hopefully they're listening 2 times speed.
What were we going to talk about?
I think the big one is we've got obviously the new school year is going to be starting soon.
The new school year is already starting. I'll just
tell you.
It's already
starting? It's July.
It is.
As a non-educator,
yes.
but being in the education sector,
mm-hmm.
How is the school year already starting when it's July and kids aren't back yet?
Well, the kids don't officially go back until like in Texas,
mid-August.
August the 13th or 14th. Well, you have to go backwards. So if everybody is back in school officially on August the 13th or 14th, you have a week of training before that. That's a whole week of training. So backtrack. Okay, tell everybody what a week before August the 13th is.
I don't know, August the 6th.
Okay. And then
on the spot.
Okay, and then you have to go, so then there is a whole week before that where you have like new teacher training. So all of the new people that are new to the district, new to the campuses, they come for a special training. So that is a week ahead.
On the 30th of July.
Beautiful. Now you see where I'm going with this. And then in order to get prepared for that, all of your admin, your instructional technology specialists, they're on different different contract days. So they'll be starting at least a week or 2 weeks before that. So where does that land in the calendar?
If we work on the basis of a week, that's the 23rd. If we work on 2 weeks, that's the 16th, which is already gone.
Of July. Okay. And then, I haven't even told you this part, then let's think about all of the fall sports. So any teachers who are sponsoring those sports. So football, volleyball, band, cheerleading, like I could keep going. All of those teachers already doing the work. So when I say the school year is already underway, yeah, it's underway because think about it. All the behind the scenes stuff is happening. All the behind the scenes stuff has to happen before the rock concert can start.
Okay, now I start to understand where you're coming from that perspective of the school year start. Okay, so the school year's already started.
But this is great for you to ask that question. I think it's very important because I think you're asking a very genuine question that genuine people who are not educators or who are brand new teachers maybe didn't understand. So you've landed on what, July the 16th. Okay, so then if we keep going, when do you think the school year ends typically? We'll just use Texas as an example since that's what I used initially. When is the school year over for Texans?
Well, being a non-Texan, I obviously know this date perfectly of May, June-ish.
Yeah, so it's going to be like the end of May, sometimes going into June, depending on the school district. Okay,
that was a random guess, but anyway.
No, you did great because we have talked about it. This isn't something that you were completely oblivious to. We have talked about this.
I couldn't give you a definitive date
because it changes, it fluctuates, right? But
end of May. Yeah, I said end May, June-ish, but
I
end of
like how
May,
you said it,
mid-June. Yeah.
actually. You said
Okay.
May,
May,
June,
June-ish.
which, yeah. So, okay. So teachers are finished. The kids
Mm-hmm.
go. Some teachers still need to work. Then they have to do a certain number of days and hours of professional development. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So now we're into the first week of June, but if you add on the professional development, we're in the second week of June.
Yep.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So what's that date? Just ballpark it.
So if we say the second week of June, that let's just work on the basis it's the 14th.
Okay. So how
Well,
much
it'll be
time?
8th of June is the start,
Great.
14th, but that's if the 1st of
So
June's
how
just...
much time then when you have the dates June the 14th to July the 16th, how much quote unquote time off do you believe a teacher has?
5 weeks.
If even that, because
I mean,
some
that's
of them
almost
are.
the same time that kids have off in during the summer in the UK. So you know what? Don't snuff it.
So here's the thing. Some of those teachers who have quote unquote off are actually doing summer school. They are having to do extra projects. They're on other committees. They're, the calendar committee, you could think the district initiative committee. They all have to
Mm-hmm.
meet and put time in for that. The truth of the matter is teachers get off about 3 to 4 weeks, and that is just ballpark. There are some who get a little bit more and some who get a little bit less, but I just think it's really interesting because this is always a topic that we've talked about. Oh, teachers get 3 full months off and they get a whole month in December
Yeah.
and they get a whole spring break. And I just want to say, like,
During
the,
those times is not, you're not taking the actual time off. You're actually still working
every
on everything
teacher,
else that is actually going on.
yes, every teacher that I've ever met, including myself, even though you're off, and we've talked about this, for a lot of
Yeah.
us, it's hard to unwind when we have a holiday off. So by the time we've unwound ourselves and start relaxing, it's now time to start up again.
Again.
So
Yeah.
yeah, it's a lot for teachers, I think. But to your point, we are in the back to school season. I know that some of Jace's friends who are in band, they start on Tuesday. Like the day after this episode comes out, they will start their two-a-days, just like the football players.
Okay. Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Why
That's...
two-a-days? Do you know why it's two-a-days? So
I'm assuming you're meaning 2 days a week as
no,
2 days.
I'm meaning two
Or
times a
or you're saying
day.
Tuesday weird. 2 days, Tuesday.
No, I'm not saying any of
Has
that.
that Dr. Pepper just gone straight to your head?
I think the lack of Dr. Pepper has now gone straight to your head. No, two-a-days is like, so I was a cheerleader and I used to, what?
Does it mean I'm doing this 2 times a day?
A day, yes.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Now that starts to make sense.
Mm-hmm.
It was the accent. It was the accent that just threw me off a little bit.
Two-a-days.
Okay.
So band
Not
starts
twice a day.
two-a-days on Tuesday. And they will continue that. Do you know how far band this I wasn't in the band, but I was a cheerleader and we cheered with the band, we did things with the band. I was a teacher for a really long time.
Yep.
Love band people, love the whole idea of band. It is a team sport. So like you don't think of band being that way, but it is. Teaches them a lot of different skills that we talk about in our book. How long do you think bands go for the year? So like when you're thinking about football, you're like, okay, they start in July and they probably end in November. How long do you think band goes?
Well, I'm assuming band is an all year thing, is it not?
Yes. But like it is intense. It's intense. Maybe it's just intense here, but
100% it is just intense there because I was part of woodwind band and we would have a rehearsal once a week. You'd sit there, rehearse, that's it. For what I've seen in the US, like you've got like marches, you've got processes while also playing and just as well as having to learn everything and make sure you're all in time, you
yeah.
just add more complexity over and over. Like the band side in like high school is just as big as anything else that the school's doing.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, I know.
you go all out in one thing, you're going to go all out in everything else.
Yeah, it is. It's a lot. It's a lot of work. Again, it's a lot of work behind the scenes to put the rock concert on live when the curtain goes up, you know? So I
Yep.
think that's something that, anybody who's listening who's not an educator needs to remember. That's with any event though, you know?
Yeah.
You were asking me, we
So
were going to bring this up. There's been a lot of PD out
there,
there.
that was going to be my next question, really, because yeah, you're right. There's a lot of PD at the moment,
Virtual
and
PD, in-person PD.
and the thing is, I've noticed that's every year,
Yeah.
every single year, and obviously different companies are doing their own webinars. We've just had ISTE.
Mm-hmm.
Like, knowing that the school year is essentially starting in Texas in just a couple of days, but also, which just adds more complexity to the whole thing.
Yeah.
Obviously, some companies have done their like webinar week or whatever this week or last week. There are a couple of companies that I'm aware of that are doing them in the next couple of weeks
Sure.
or the whole of August or whatever it is. Like, seriously, how do you find time? That's the main question. And what do you pick? What do you prioritize? How do you prioritize?
I think this episode is like time and tea bags. Because yeah, how many tea bags and how do you find the time? The thing
Yeah.
about teaching and the thing that I didn't really truly understand before I became a teacher is the problem of time. And there never feels like there's enough time. So
Yep.
I think as a teacher, we've talked about this on several podcasts, whether we are the guest or the host, but we've talked about vetting digital tools, which tools are going to help you get from point A to point B with your students, which tools are going to help you with your learning goals, and how are you going to stack those? Which tools are going to allow you the ability to stack those learning goals so that you can essentially pack a punch? Do you know
Yep.
what I mean?
Yep.
In less time. And so that is what we've talked about that. I've said that multiple times. Teachers have to do the same thing with PD. There are lots of different PD options out there for teachers. Now, some districts will have district PD and they will say to their staff, you must be at this PD. Other districts will put on district PD and it's an invitation. Come to this PD. You don't have to drive. It's right here. It's free.
Yep.
So they're kind of meeting them where they are. But then you have other educators, maybe like me, who are thinking to themselves, okay, I want to find PD that is going to blank, like fill in the blank. So it may be 1 year, I may say, I really want to find PD that's going to help me understand AI. So as a teacher, I would pick sort of the topic or the conference that I knew was going to help me grow professionally. How do you have time? Well, if you're going to an in-person conference, you're planning for that. And you're planning for that probably a year in advance that you're going to go, right? So a lot of times teachers aren't just on the fly going, oh, I'm going to go to ISTE. This was planned. This was plotted. This was saved up. Like, I'm going to TCA every year. So there are some teachers who will say, this is the conference I want to go to. This is what I want to spend my money on, my budget on. But then other teachers will say, I don't want to do any of that. I want to do virtual PD. So you pick your favorite platform. Your favorite platform that you're utilizing in your classroom probably has PD options, virtual webinars, different weeks or days of the year, the summer, if you will. So you have to pick it based on is it really going to benefit you? Are you going to learn something? Is it going to challenge you?
What's your ROI going to be?
Exactly. It goes back to what I always say. Teachers are entrepreneurs. And so they are entrepreneurs of their time as well.
Yes.
Teachers are having to make decisions that give them the best return on investment when it comes to PD. And that means that these companies need to be looking at, okay, well, do teachers want to sit through a 45-minute PD virtually. Well, I have all kinds of opinions about that. I don't know anybody who wants to sit on a Zoom for 45 minutes having someone just read a slide deck to them.
Yeah.
That's not helpful, right? So they're making decisions based on that. Maybe they're really interested in I don't know, maybe they're really interested in one topic that this platform offers, but they don't want to sign up for the whole conference that the platform offers, right? So
Mhm.
again, giving teachers choice and making sure that it is and making sure that they can implement what the people are presenting on, making sure it's bite-sized information, making sure it's valuable. Teachers are
Yeah.
making that decision for them. And I think it's really good because, we've talked about students and teachers, what decisions do they get to make?
Hmm.
Not very many.
No,
And
no.
so teachers at least have the choice for the PD. They find time for the people that they want to be around at these conferences. They find groups of people where they belong. I think that's how they're choosing PD. So when you
Yeah.
feel like you belong to something, you're going to find time for it.
So do you think that when it comes down to what PD you're actually going to do, could your PLN be quite
Oh yeah, influential.
influential on what you're actually doing and
Absolutely.
looking into? Okay. Two questions then, based on just that. PD, what would you personally choose, virtual or in person?
Mm.
And when I'm saying PD in person, it could be conferences, but it could be ones that are in person that your school districts organized, or one that they have aware of and happy to send you to that is in your local area.
Well, I think there are a couple of factors. I think it depends on the year, the situation, where I'm at. If I'm having a medical issue or I have a vacation that I have to go, that I get to go on, I'm gonna
Okay, let's
choose
not
my.
overcomplicate it, Tish. I just asked you which one do you
Okay,
prefer, in person or virtual. Don't
but it
give me the whole.
depends. It
I understand that there
depends.
are factors that can impact, but I'm just all I'm asking is, would you are
I like mix
completely
and
free
match.
next week. I knew you'd freaking say that because of your freaking ADHD, you. I'm asking,
Sorry.
which one do you prefer? Mix and match.
Okay.
Well, which types of PD would you prefer, where it's a dedicated tool or where you're looking at how you can improve as an educator in the classroom without a tool? Which type of PD would you
These are
prefer?
like loaded questions. You're not gonna like any of my answers. And I think I speak for teachers though, because I want you know what the winning thing is, winner, winner, chicken dinner, is if the
Hmm.
platform that I love to use is also going to teach me how to improve as a teacher. So they're not just telling me about platform stuff. They're also telling me how to improve my instructional strategies and how to put things in place. So the platform that I'm going to choose, whether it is in person or virtually, that's how I'm going to do. I have a
That's
little,
where the
tell you this.
important part is.
Yeah, I tell you all the time, I have a little rubric in my head
Yes.
about everything. And I
Yep.
do. I have a little checklist. I'm like,
No.
okay, do I want to see my friends? Am I going to have time? Like ISTE, we went to ISTE and I loved ISTE. I love ISTE. What I loved this year was different. Oh, sorry, my pencil fell. My pencil
I
fell.
love
I'm
how you've been
sorry.
dropping and throwing things.
I'm sorry. I'm having an issue here with all of my fidgets, okay? In an effort to keep my hands busy, all of my things are now making noise. Okay, so let's see. You threw
You
me
were at
off.
ISTE.
I love ISTE this year for a different reason that I've loved it before. Some years I go to ISTE and I love it because I get time with my PLN and my teacher friends, and I get to learn from them and talk to them, and we get to talk about struggles and solutions and like really connect.
Mhm.
This year, ISTE for me was very much about being a thought leader and an author and a presenter, and I didn't get a lot of time with my educator friends,
Yep.
talking through that. I also didn't feel 100%. So shout
That
out to
didn't
all of
help.
you who got to see me, especially John Wick, who definitely picked up on the fact that I wasn't feeling well at ISTE. I am since getting there and feeling better, but I think it just depends on the year and the conference. I know it isn't a one size fits all answer, Rick. You're asking me these
I know,
questions.
but at the same time, we're talking about during the summertime,
Yeah,
this moment of break. We say break very loosely.
we do.
Um, we're starting the new academic year, and then you're throwing in time of year and all this kind of stuff. And I'm saying, well, we've
Summer.
already
Well,
explained it.
summer.
This is
Okay,
so what
summer.
so the way I'm looking at it is like,
If I'm
and I
going
know
to
it's
the
not.
Grand Canyon, I'm going to pick a virtual conference so I could tune in from the Grand Canyon at my convenience. Or, here it is. The platforms who are live streaming, and then I can go watch the replay without having to do a lot of work to get the replay. That's it. That's where it's at.
That's the biggest thing, is being able to actually have the videos to watch later on is so,
Mm-hmm.
so vital. And I think we can fixate too much on how many people tuned in at the moment that the video went live,
Mm-hmm.
whether that is a scheduled launch or a live stream. We do a
Sure.
lot of live streams these days, and it's like expected that everybody comes to us. You okay? Because like, for those that can't see, Tish literally just stared at her camera,
It
like
says we've been talking
surprised.
30 minutes. This episode was supposed to be 25.
And a little bit of a segue from where we were talking. Tish basically wanted this episode to be 25 minutes long. I told her that's not going to happen. And as always, I'm right. So what I was saying was a lot of companies do live webinars
Yes.
there and then to obviously get engaged with the users who are actually there listening, want to ask questions. I get that. But I also feel like there is quite a lot of fixation on, we need to get as many people in on the live session as possible. But the live session might not be suitable for majority of people, which I find is the case.
Sure.
Like, especially if we're focusing on just the US, there's a 3-hour gap between
Yes.
Eastern and Pacific. Then you
Mm-hmm.
take Alaska into consideration,
Mm-hmm.
and Hawaii's on a different time zone, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it all becomes very spread out, and you can't be fixated on trying to get everybody to jump on and ask questions. But definitely being able to provide maybe a form of PD that is available for people to go at their leisure.
Mm.
So when you've got a recording that you can access easily at any time, that becomes very, very important.
Yeah. No, it's really, I mean, this is actually a good segue into what we were going to talk about and focus on feedback and reflection, because I think anybody who's listening who has a say in PD, who has a say in online virtual PD and events, I think this is great feedback. I think it's important to ask your attendees and your presenters and teachers in general, like what they prefer, but also know that their answers are going to be so vastly different. Just like when Rick asked me, I'm not going to have just a black and white answer where it's like cut and dry. I'm going to be like, I want to mix and match my sessions,
You just don't
right?
make it easy for me. That's
No,
all it comes
no.
down to.
But we are going to talk about feedback and reflection and ways to build student confidence. That's essentially what we want you to take away in this episode as the school year is approaching. We just want to toss some things out there to you for you to think through it. So this is your thinking time. We talk a lot about teachers don't get a lot of time to think. We talked about that with Amanda last week. We talked about, our administrators, our bosses, managers, CEOs giving their employees room to think, time to think. I actually took a think day on Friday, Rick, and it was a think day after our very own virtual conference. So
And how did you find that?
a think day, I found the
How?
think day very valuable because the
Mm-hmm.
think day allows time and space for no one to interrupt the reflection time on
Mm-hmm.
what went well, what could be done better,
Yep.
putting together some feedback forms, thinking through how we would change it for next time, um, looking at the numbers, like you said, which aren't it doesn't tell the whole story, just like when we talk about with
Mm-hmm.
students, but I think it's interesting, just in general, because I think feedback is so important, and that does build confidence. It is hard. Feedback and reflection are not easy, but it builds confidence in what you're doing, and that is also why it's going to help students build their confidence. So we did this session at ISTE, and we put together a little slide deck with a photo of spoons, and the spoons had multiple different handles on them. And we asked the audience, Rick, I don't know, can we drop this picture in some capacity for can I share my screen? That might be fun.
I mean, I can drop the picture in, no problem.
Okay,
Right
well, I'll let you drop the
now.
picture. There's the picture. Okay, Rick did his magic. So right and wrong, the spoons have different handles, and I asked the audience, which spoon would you pick? How many of you would pick 1, 2, 3, or 4? Very strong responses from the audience on I would absolutely not pick up number 2 in any capacity. And what was so interesting is Rick said, Tisha, which spoon would you pick up? And I said, per usual, none of them. I would not choose a single one of those spoons. Why? Because every single handle has something wrong with it for me. And so what we're doing is we were really trying to illustrate that what is right for you as an individual, as a person, as a human, as a teacher, as a leader, isn't always going to be the right spoon for your students, if you will. So if we're all sitting down and having a bowl of cereal, everybody's going to pick a different spoon when we give you the choice of the photo that you just saw, but it doesn't mean it's right or wrong. It just means what's right for you and what's not right for you. So for me, all of those are not right for me. I would probably scurry over into my drawer and get my little, what do we call it? My latte spoon.
Yeah.
But that was the whole point. The whole point was that, and the goal, and Rick just hit this very briefly on the companies and the firing. How many companies?
60% of companies are firing recently graduated students within 6 months of hiring.
Yeah. And the reasons are a lot of different reasons. There's a lot difficulty in working in a team, lack of work experience. I mean, I know how do you get work experience if you don't have it?
I find that reason so stupid.
Sure. Challenges with feedback, though, was one of them, and poor communication skills. And that is what I want to hit on. Poor communication skills. Poor doesn't mean that they aren't there. It just means that they've not been developed yet. And you said something to me backstage, Rick, today. You said, I didn't know the right response. So when people would get mad at me for my response, it was because I was never taught the right response to whatever, right?
So just to give some
context
or further explanation with that, I was always in this mindset that there was one right way to say it and loads of wrong ways to say it. And because I wasn't fully aware of what the answer might be, I would either usually keep my mouth shut or deviate around it, because if I gave them the wrong answer, I get the response that I'm not looking forward to.
Which is
it could be various things of anger, confusion, frustration, even getting emotional about it.
What would the negative comments be if you quote unquote said the wrong thing?
Why did you say that? Why did you think like that?
Thank you. You have segued us into a slide that we shared. And this slide actually was created from a real student. We asked the student, when you are receiving feedback from your teacher, what is feedback over criticism? So give us examples of negative criticism and positive feedback. And this is where we want you to use this as a mirror for growth. So Rick already hit on it. What were the negatives?
Why would you say that? What do you mean by that? Very direct responses that are not going to give the individual any value back of what is not in a way wrong with their answer, but how can they improve?
Yeah, there's no direction with those statements, or they are questions that they really aren't asking an answer to, right? Why did you do this? What were you thinking when you did this? What were you thinking when you wrote this? Why did you do the project this way? Why did you leave out
Mm-hmm.
that? That is not giving any guidance or direction. Then the feedback, the positive feedback is we need to work on this particular part a bit more to help improve your overall work. Or in your case, it would be like, this is an appropriate response, and here's why, and
Yep.
kind of outlining the why behind it. Some other comments that our student gave us for positive feedback: your grade is a bit below passing, but let's meet together, work together, and see how we can fix this. So
Mm-hmm.
it's positioning it as you are a team. You're not alone. You're not targeted. You're not wrong.
Yep.
Then great job. And to enhance this project or assignment or grade further, let's improve on this specific part. So it's being very specific. And
Mm-hmm.
then you did great. Work on this one area and it'll be perfect. And for some people, they may have the knowledge that they're never going to be perfect. And they are battling with that idea that not every project can be perfect. They battle with the idea that the project can be turned in without it being perfect. They
Mm-hmm.
they battle with the idea that not getting 100 isn't a slight to their personal effort or their knowledge. But sometimes just saying it will be perfect is sort of affirming for them that they just need to work on a little bit of it, and then it's going to be perfect in that moment, right?
Yep.
So I think I think that's a really, really something for teachers to take back. How are you going to speak, write, or act out feedback towards your students, and how do you check yourself at the door so it doesn't come across as just negative criticism?
Yeah. I think you're right there. The one thing I just want to touch on though is that perfect
Mm.
approach. So many people do think about things in a stance of, oh, it needs to be perfect. Oh, I wasn't perfect at that. Should we actually eliminate that word when it
Well,
comes
we could
to
try.
getting a result on something? Because unless we're stipulating what the requirements are for something, and there is no room for deviation,
Hmm.
then something can be perfect. So if
Okay.
you're doing like a multiple choice, where it's 100 questions and you get all 100 questions correct, you got a perfect 100 out of 100. But if you're doing a written exam or test or doing something where further improvements can actually come into it,
Mm.
can you actually get 100%?
So I think it's interesting what you're proposing, and I don't disagree with it. I think that the idea of perfection, again, when we did research for the book, it goes all the way back to the beginning. And I
Yes.
think that that idea that I need to be perfect comes with 100. Jason and his friends yesterday were talking about their GPAs. They were talking about all of their grades. They were talking about their star scores. They were comparing their star scores. So there is this idea of my value as a person, as a student, as a learner lies within those numbers. I think that we are battling a mindset, and it's really
Yep.
hard to battle a mindset that the whole world has kind of taken on, really obliviously. I don't think any of us set out and went, oh, 100 means I'm perfect. But that was the message that was communicated to all of us. A 4.0
Exactly.
means I'm perfect. Well, what happens if you're going through life and you're like, I'm perfect, and then you end up not getting a 4.0? That is making your whole identity crash, right?
Yeah,
It's the
because
same
as
thing with work.
a number or a letter does not
No.
value your entire personality, your own being. And it does frustrate me that when we're looking at these things, a number doesn't set
How do
anything. It
how do
just
we get
gets you
a
into college or whatever, in my
well,
opinion. I think
how
it's the
do
most
we
pointless thing.
I agree. But think about it, even in work. I'm so sorry for making so much noise, Rick. I apologize. But think about it in work terms, even like you said with the YouTube channel and stuff. Like we could get really caught up in the numbers and the ROI and the this
Absolutely.
data and that data. And I always say it is important, but don't make it be the only thing that is telling about that
Absolutely.
performance. How do we get away with
Absolutely.
it? Or how do we get away from it? Here's what I think the solution is. And we did talk about this during our presentation at the learning stage at ISTE, the confidence loop. So we use the word feed forward instead of
Yep.
feedback because we are saying to all of you listening, we're saying it in the book, the words you're using in your classroom, don't just
So
use them.
important.
They're so important. Think about how it's coming across to you and your students. So feed forward.
Hmm.
Give those reflections, give the positive notes, the this is what we need to work on, the specific pieces in a feed forward moment right after
Yep.
that assignment. Then allow your students time to reflect on it. Don't just assume that they can reflect on it in 2 seconds. It's going to
Hmm.
take them some time. They're going to take it away with them. They're going to go back home. They're going to come back to your classroom. It is a lengthy process. But
Yep.
in that process, they're gaining confidence. And so then with that confidence, they are then becoming leaders. And it is in that confidence loop of feed forward,
Hmm.
give them time to reflect, that builds their confidence up and creates leaders. And you keep doing that loop every single day, every month, all year long. You're going to see your students flourish. I think that's
Exactly.
really the key here. What are some other things, Rick, that we talked about? Because we talked about it with Amber as well, but using different wording to describe things in your classroom. For example, how do we change how we're describing students?
If we're describing students,
Instead of calling them learners, what could we call them?
yes, sorry, yes, I completely blanked on that one. Absolutely, yes. So this is the biggest problem that we have from moving from schools to careers. We go from a structured setup where you have your teacher and your student, or
Hmm.
your learner and your educator. And they go from a structured, you have 5 lessons, you have lunch at this time, you only go to the toilet during the break times, or when you hold your hand up and ask the teacher for
Permission.
permission. And um, that's not what work is, the career aspect. Unless you're going into the military, an office job or anything else is going to require you to be a certain way. Now, as well, everything that we do in the class, I remember when I was learning, I had no understanding of what actually correlated to the real world. And
Well,
some of
when
the
you,
things that I've taught myself, I never realized there was names to them until somebody
what
told
were you
me.
called? What were you called by parents and teachers when you were in school? What did they call you?
Pupil is
Oh,
what,
that's interesting. A
yeah,
pupil.
we were called pupils. Um, Once we get into college or
Yeah.
university, we're then students. But what
Mm.
if we were to look at how can we bring real world examples into the classroom? It doesn't just go with let's look at a project that can we can bring them in and get them understanding an example of real world scenarios and say, oh, we're just going to have group work and pick who's going to be like the lead for your group. You need to go beyond that of a lead for a group is a project manager.
Mm. Yep.
A project is going to need dedicated roles and responsibilities, and all
Yes.
you have to do is give those students those particular roles.
Yes. 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 So
So what not
producers, designers,
and there's
leaders, project managers,
exactly,
instead of
exactly.
student, learner,
And
pupil.
and
Because
now you start to bridge the gap, not just with what they're learning, but how you're treating them.
yes,
You bridge the gap of from school to careers.
yes,
There's a lot of
yes,
missing pieces, but what that one where you're giving them titles,
Yes.
starts to get them thinking, okay, now I understand what these things are. Now I understand why my dad says project manager
Yeah.
when he comes home from work or whatever it is. They start to relate what they're learning to the real world.
I'm going to leave you all with this quote. You ready? We haven't done a juice box confessional. We've gone very long, but I really wanted this episode and our community of listeners to use these episodes as moments of reflection, to use these moments with us as time to think, as a thinking moment, a thinking hour. So I'm going to leave this with you because I want you to really let it resonate. Confident students will become confident learners, confident creators, and confident leaders. So giving your students the space and time to become confident in your positive reflections on their work, on their projects, on their goal setting, on their behaviors, that is really where the power lies. And I think teachers, it will resonate with teachers to know that, really your words in your classroom day in and day out have the most power. And so I know you don't take that lightly. What I want to remind all of you to do as you're getting ready to get back into your classrooms and make them looking sparkly and new and shiny and happy is to remember that everything we've said about students, we want you to remember for yourself. So when you're giving yourself feedback or you're receiving feedback from your team or your principal or anybody that you're working with, if they aren't giving you the positive aspects and specific aspects of what to improve on, be brave enough to ask them and remember that you are not the only one that went out into the world not learning or knowing or being taught how to give and receive feedback and how to do meaningful reflection. You are not alone. We are going to talk more and more about it in this podcast, but I just want to leave all of you with that. Rick, I hope you're okay that I just wrapped up this episode.
Just literally just powerful message right there, right at the end and wrapping this whole episode up. No, it's good.
Hey, we'll see you guys next time.
See you next week, guys. Bye.
Thank you for being a part of this episode. Continue the conversation with us online. Subscribe and follow, and let us know if you'd like to join as a guest or if there's someone you'd like to hear from.
We'd love to connect with you on X, Instagram, and TikTok. All links and show notes will be available in the episode description. Until next time, keep learning, growing, and playing.